I think since anyway, with Glific, what we are also trying to do is build a community for better adoption, better technology use, and to learn from each other, right? In fact, that is one of the things that brought us all together here as well in this session. And looking at the work that TAP has been doing and many of the other organizations, we thought, let's put together a monthly session where NGOs can talk about their work. We've been doing case studies, of course, but connecting over a live call and asking each other questions and getting to know the work that we've been doing is a very different experience and learning altogether. So yeah, I think without further delay, let's hand it off to the TAP team, Shweta, Prashant, Krishna. Please share what you've been up to, what your next plans are, how you're innovating, what your programs are all about. It'd be good to learn from you. Over to you.
Yeah, go ahead, Shweta.
Yeah, no, I was going to invite you to talk about how we started with the online journey.
Sure. So yeah, just quick context. We have been working with children focused on building social emotional skills through a volunteer run program. It was an in-school, in-classroom model, and since March 2020, we have been working on an online version of the model where students build these social emotional skills through activities in a choice-based learning environment. So students choose a course aligned to their interest from among visual art, performing art, or STEM. The initial probably 7 to 8 month period was experimenting with different platforms, ranging from Google Classroom to Edmodo to maybe a Google form and so on, to disseminate content and receive the student submission back. I think end of 2020 is when we finally stumbled upon Glific, and November, December is the time we kind of set it up for our organization and started using that. And the last, 11, 12 months now has been a journey on kind of modifying that and leveraging different functionalities in Glific. Primarily, our focus is one, to disseminate content to students. We currently work with around 1,800 students. So ensuring that one video content is reaching them every week based on the course they have chosen and based on the age group. So there are 2 age categories, primary and secondary, that we work with. And very important for us to receive back their submission as well. Every activity is embedded with some form of submission that the student has to make. So it's essential for us to get back that submission, from an operational tracking perspective, to see that the students have actually done the activity and learned. And second, of course, from an M&E perspective, to do an overall impact measurement on how the learning is going. Ours is a year-long program, so it goes through the academic year for all the children. Hence, it's important for us to keep tracking their progress. So that's the overall purpose that we're working towards. I'll probably have Krishna talk through the specifics of how we are utilizing Glific in helping deliver that to keep students engaged and improve their the access and submission of the activities.
Thank you so much, Prashant, for setting that context. So as Prashant already mentioned, so we have experimented for 7 long months with different LMS like Google Classroom, Edmodo, and Google Forms. So one thing which we have commonly observed was one difficulty in understanding the interface or the platform in itself, to the amount of data that the kids has to spend on that, because our kids come from a background where they have a very limited internet packs. So finally, we have got to the WhatsApp based platform. One, the main reason being, kids most of our kids know how to use WhatsApp. It's very easy to use. And second thing, less amount of data is consumed using WhatsApp. So those were our major reasons to actually switch to a WhatsApp-based model and via Glific. So we initially started with a very so with a WhatsApp, it's always a difficult part to See, should we make it more interactive? Like, because if we are making it more interactive, it means we have to take a lot of input from our kids. Like every question, I'm asking a question and I'm expecting kid to answer. Second, or do we make it very straightforward, like, hey, this is what you have to do, this is what you have to send me? But that means less engagement. So like our journey from last 10 to 11 months has been in striking this balance between right amount of engagement with children to make like we have named our chatbot as Tab Buddy. So making kids have a good learning friend, which is a Tab Buddy, versus kids not have to do a lot of things, like a lot of inputs are needed from a kid's end. So initially when we started, ours was a very straightforward model. Kid has to send a keyword, which will trigger our flow at the backend, and kid would get the activity, kid has to submit, and that's it. So that's how we did it. But when we have done a lot of user calls, like which are our children in our case, so we understood that kids don't enjoy this learning process. Like kids do not feel that Tab Buddy is something which is a entertaining one, or which is a like it's very mechanical, is what I can put it in a right word. So then we thought of making our Tab Buddy much more easier for kids. So in our first model, where kid has to send a keyword, different problems that we faced. One, it was very mechanical for kids. Two, we didn't use a lot of pictures or a lot of different medium which the WhatsApp provides, like a voice note or like a pictures, etc. Three, a kid has to type out something. Considering the kind of background our kids come from, typing has been already like a very difficult thing. When we ask our kids to send hi, there would be 100 different variations of hi, which our kids generally send. So the flow doesn't get triggered, and the kids generally get anxious, like, hey, my activity is not received and stuff. So to minimize that, we have reached out to Glific to get the buttons enabled. So right now, most of our flow, the messages are along with the buttons. Kid has to just click on the button, so the text automatically comes. So there is, like, I think hardly in one place or two places in the whole flow, kid has to type out something. So it's very easy for a kid because they don't have to type out anything. They just have to click on buttons, which is very easy for our kids. Two, we try to make it as much interactive as possible. Again, like not making like too much for a kid. So we try to make it interactive for a kid, like using a lot of images. And we have personified our WhatsApp chatbot. So we have come up with a theme called Gumo India. So where kids can actually like kids will do the concept of doing activities and submitting still remains the same. The only thing that changes is the way we are presenting it. So the kids will go to different places in India and do the activities. So one day this Tab Buddy will take them to Kolkata to do it. One day the Tab Buddy will take them to Kerala to do it. So the way we are presenting it, we have personified our Tab Buddy. Like we have created an image around it. We have given it a character. And the way we are presenting it, it's slightly different. So like even after submissions, we have included a couple of games which kids might get interested. So that way we are trying to strike out a balance between kids' connection or engagement with Tab Buddy, and at the same time them not to do multiple things or like their work actually getting reduced. So that's how like with our current model like stands it. So yeah, please feel free to ask any questions, and probably Shweta will also show you a demo so that you can also experience our Tab Buddy by yourself. Yes, Shweta, do you want to show our Tab Buddy's demo or send the link to everybody here?
Yeah, I will send the
the link.
Yeah, I think I'll send the demo link, and I can also show it on WhatsApp. Maybe.
Sure.
Give me just a minute. So this is the demo link. I've sent it in the chat, and I'll also share my screen so that we can try it out. Or I can walk everyone through that demo. Can everyone see my screen? Oops.
Yes, Shweta.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, this is specifically made for demos or for training our mentors or volunteers. So the flow would start by you sending a message as a keyword demo. And we have tried to create this demo flow so that we can show all the features that we use.
Just hold on. So, I mean, the first point that Krishna was talking about, just starting off with different forms of messaging which engages children, like trying out GIF images, which generally works out better with children. So that's one thing that we changed from where we started.
Yes, yeah. So I'll select the language. Yeah, this is the personification of TabBuddy. And this is the only thing that the child would have to enter, like their name. As Krishna said, we have tried to keep those minimum. Then they get to select their course. In the demo flow, we have added the 3 courses as an example. And it also sends them a video if they would like to select the course. At TAB, we are focused on choice-based learning. So we thought of including, giving this choice to the kid of them wanting to select the course in the flow as well. And yes, this is Gumo India game. Krishna, would you like to talk about this a little?
Shweta. So some of you must have played this similar kind of thing in our Google Play. So Gumo India is like, as I told earlier, the kid taking activity, everything would remain the same, but the way we do it, presented is slightly different. So once a kid takes activity from TabBuddy, as Prashant also mentioned, they have to submit an assignment at the end of the activity, which they'll submit back to TabBuddy. So we are giving some fun puzzles on TabBuddy, which is not completely related to the activity. So these fun puzzles, they'll just answer, and based as there is a city that we are choosing every week, the way we are giving, so we call it badges. So the way we are giving like a silver badge, gold badge, everything is themed around that particular place. So it's like a complete experience. Even the TabBuddy image, which I think Shweta would show further, would be changing its attire or background according to the theme or the city of that particular week. So that's how, and these badges the kids can collect, and it goes to our leaderboard, and kids, our reward our kids virtually once based on the badges count.
Yeah. So a little bit of interactive elements so that kids get to choose and select. And yeah, this is what Krishna was talking about. So this demo flow we have based on West Bengal. So the TabBuddy is wearing that Bengali sari.
Yeah, and this was during Dashera time. So we tried to club our theme with the thing. Again, we are a secular organization. We do not believe in this, but we tried to club some of the festivals like Christmas or Durga Puja, so that the theme and the year, the calendar, system calendar matches.
Yep. So this is the gamification aspect that they got a silver badge. We call this a silver badge, and we try to track these in the backend to create a student leaderboard. So if a student gets a badge, it gets tracked in the backend. And we send the activity in form of, right now in the form of a link, which kids get to open, and they will be able to watch the video that we share.
Hello, student. First activity. Recording in progress.
Yeah, and they have to submit their work in the form of a video or image. So it depends upon the course which they have to select. So right now I'm sending a random image to the chatbot, but our volunteers and mentors check in the backend, like if the submission made by the kid is correct or not. That gets evaluated. Kid would get, like, submission is a special milestone, so kid would get like a gold badge, and then again after that all kids get this like a little bit of gamification based on the place that we would be traveling to, and like they get to play a game like puzzles, solve puzzles, and that's where giving them chance to earn more badges. And yeah, that's like that concludes like one particular destination or one particular assignment for kids. Any questions?
You can just complete the flow quickly.
Yeah, I thought I'll just stop here.
There are a couple of questions, Shweta. Maybe I can read. So there's one from Jacob saying, Shweta, do users have to opt into communications before selecting language?
Yes. Yeah. So we coordinate with schools. So we get the student lists from them, and then students sign up, like register for the course. So the part that where you saw, right, students have to enter their name, select course, that was part of the registration flow.
So in the demo flow that wasn't there, but in actual flow you will have.
Yeah, in the demo flow also the starting part wherein students have to write in their name, select the course, like I had selected arts. That's the part where students
yeah, again, just to clarify, so once we get the student details, the opt-in part can happen in two ways. One, just like we had a demo link, a link is shared with the students through the school, which they click, and then they can send that message to TabBuddy, and then that starts off that initial registration process, which basically asks for their name and which course they want to do and which language. Or they could just save the WhatsApp number of TabBuddy and just send a hi message to that number, and that will also trigger the same flow. So that initial part, which is basically asking for the name, language, and course, that's the opt-in and registration process.
Jacob, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask a follow-up question.
I know my question was more around like how do you make that first message user friendly? Because in our demos to various users, sometimes they got like concerned or had some doubts when they were faced with a lot of text that said, you know, do you want to receive messages? Do you want to not receive messages? That kind of thing. So would like to have some examples of like how to make that easier for them so they don't get blocked.
I have one question regarding on the use of this data. So we also work with government schools, and one of the challenge of onboarding is like somewhere there is an insistence on parental consent also, like most of the children are minor. So that is one aspect. If you have had this kind of concern from a state government department. The second is, the second part is once, let's say, student is engaged for some amount of time. Is there any evaluation or feedback or individual report for each student generated as a part of the formal evaluation process?
Right. I'll take the first question. So as of now, we are not formally working through the government. Our mode of operation, our unit of operation is through a school. So we reach out to, and these are government schools as well, but we directly work with the school, where the school HM or principal takes that call that whether they want that program. The parental investment is something that the school takes care of. And that's specifically the reason we work through schools, that we are not directly onboarding or reaching out to the children without the school passing that on. So school sets up the context. Most of the cases, I believe it would be like through the SMC, just making sure that parents are aware that such a program is being introduced, but that's being taken care by school. We directly don't have a role there. but it's a valid worry in terms of parental consent and like, and again leading on to like if there is any form of abuse. So that's where we make sure that school is involved, and also like the interactions that happen, we also encourage that the school has somebody as a part of those WhatsApp groups that are there where mentors interact with children. Second part, maybe Shweta, if you want to take that.
Yes. So as I said, right now when kid is making a submission, right, as I sent a random image there, kids can also do that. But we have a backend a volunteer system who evaluates, like an M&E team who evaluates these submissions, and mentors who support kids in their self-learning journey, who can point out and give feedback every week. So we have a backend process which is not done through Glific right now.
Okay, so this is more of a manual process. Right? Somebody will look at what they have submitted and what they. I mean, my context was that, say if a student has responded in a particular way, so is there a way you can customize next responses based on what they have picked up earlier? No, some kind of an automation, like somebody showing interest in one particular area, can we channelize those things if you have a large number of students? I mean, if you have a, let's say, limited, then you can. So most of it is, I assume that some volunteer is looking at the content shared by the student and then doing their evaluation and feedback on a one-on-one basis.
Right. And just to add, like our like objective of the mentor or a volunteer being involved, apart from like the manual process of checking, our model itself is built on two pillars, I would say. One is this self-learning part that students do, which is what Glifics take care of. But we have created a model as an assisted self-learning. So the role of the volunteer or the mentor is also to engage with the children. Like there is a specific time allocated where the mentor engages with a group of children, motivate them, follow up with them to make sure they're submitting, address their issues, support them, give them feedback. So the purpose of checking those submissions also is that there is like a personalized feedback that can be given for each student for each submission. So a mentor has a more elaborate role apart from just the part that checking whether the actual submission is done as per what the activity was or not. So it's a probably in our construct, it's like a 6 to 7 hour role every week for a mentor.
I'm looking at questions. So one question I think we missed was, sorry, I'm scrolling.
How do you record if a student has actually watched the full video or done an activity which is outside the bot?
Yeah. So one way is like assessing, they have to send this activity submission in the form of a video or image. That's how we check. Right now, we are not able to verify if a user has watched a complete video. We, I think, try to explore a few tools, external tools, which would give us that information, but we haven't gone ahead.
And right now, it is basically through the manual check of the submissions by the mentors.
Yeah, I think you can probably use YouTube analytics for that. Like if it's a YouTube video, then on YouTube analytics, you can probably check what's the watch rate and all of that. Like it won't give you student specific thing. For that, probably there can be some tracker built on the like, you know, where you create a unique link for that particular student and then kind of track where with how much they've. So there could be some ways to figure that out. But yeah, not within WhatsApp. Yeah, and Shweta, there was one more question that we missed from Jacob's follow-up. Like, how do you make it user-friendly? How do you make your registration process and opt-in message user-friendly?
Yeah, as Prashant said, we rely on schools to like communicate about tab, about the chatbot that the students are registering. Right now, we do not include that message in the flow because we are getting the registrations via the school. Like, so that's why we can keep it interactive and not confuse the students with that message or the link that goes out sometimes.
And we can even share the registration message that goes out, the first one.
Yeah, it's evolving. Right now we are working on like a new version of it. But yeah, I can share that in Discord, maybe like a screenshot of that.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we have next question from Ishita. Ishita, do you want to take that?
Yeah. So if the user is able to pick their activities, do the level or difficulty. So I would say user selects the course at the start. So the the initial portion of the demo flow was them registering and selecting a course. After that, let's say a student has selected coding, then the student goes through the entire journey or entire year with coding. But yes, we do after a certain level, looking at their submissions, we change the complexity of the activity. That means if a student who has understood the concepts, we try and send them more challenging activities, and a kid who is still struggling to uh, work on the basic concept, we give them activities of lower difficulty. But that check happens after, let's say, 2 or 3 months into the program. But they do not get to pick different courses every week. Like they get to register for one particular course, and then they continue with that throughout the year.
Thank you, Shweta. So
Adding to that,
Sorry.
sorry, Ishita.
Yeah.
because
please
we-
go ahead. I'll ask my question after that.
Yeah, adding to that, our curriculum is designed in such a way that the rigor is continuously increasing over the year. Like if it starts from at a 0.5 level, by the end of the year, we try to achieve by 2.3. Like the progression is planned in such a way. So like ideally the difficulty level would get increased over a period of time. But as Shweta rightly mentioned, after a certain point, like after a few months, we generally check the data and like change the rigor accordingly. Like if a kid is performing really well, like they are saying like HR, like high rigor activities, and the kid is not still struggling, we still continue to increase the rigor, but at a slower pace. Like that's what we do.
Thank you for that, Krishna and Shweta. So basically, if you are building SEL, and the assumption is that a child can do that through any of the courses. So they can either do that through art or through coding or through something of their choice, right? So they don't need to go through all of the contents. Okay. And this after 2-3 month period, so this is all a manual a thing that you all would do from the backend.
Monitoring and evaluation, like
You're just checking what level the child has reached at, and then increasing the complexity. That has to be a manual thing to be done by the volunteer, is it?
yes, as it is based on the artifact that the kid submits. Yes, it has to be
Just hold on, Shweta. Let me just clarify. So it's a one-time checkpoint that we do, say 2 months into the program, looking at the data for the previous 8 weeks activities. We segregate the kids into 2 categories, like the kids who have been regularly doing the activities and submitting. So they have been understanding the concepts that have been taught till then. We put them into like a high rigor group, and then the same course kids maybe who are struggling to follow and hence are not able to do the activities or maybe are lesser engaged, put them in low rigor group, and then we change their collections in Glific. So they, from their perspective, next week when they are getting the activity of the same course, the content team, the curriculum team is creating 2 sets of activities from the next week, and the lower rigor content automatically goes to the kid who have been segregated to the lower rigor group, and the higher rigor content goes to the other set of kids. So it, from then on, that's the group that they are part of, and then they continue to get that. So basically for them, their mentor allocation changes, their WhatsApp group changes. So all of those are a one-time manual change that we do.
Okay, great. Thank you for explaining that.
Actually, so here, can you all like tap to Prashant, Shweta and Krishna Priya, can you all maybe in another like 10 minutes take to explain about the next phase of your program about the student tracker and how do you want to, personalize? I think that's also quite interesting and innovative that you're all doing. So
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about
Just
that.
before we get to that, quickly adding on to Ishita's second question. So the ratio generally varies from 1:15 to 1:25. There are WhatsApp groups created where those 15 or to 25 kids are there and the mentor is there for their interaction part. And also just keeping in mind that the volunteer has to check their submissions. That number is also something which is important, like maintaining that number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Krishna, can we start with like what are the next developments that we are looking at?
Sure. So we are like planning to create our bot the major, like to make our bot play a major role in the kids' whole self-learning process, and to go from a partial or a assisted self-learning model to a complete self-learning model. So for that, the most sorry, my laptop's battery is down. So for that, the most important part is to give a complete LMS feel to a particular kid while they are working on the chatbot. So which is like on the WhatsApp chatbot. So which means one kid is like the progress kid can actually see what is their current progress in a particular activity. Two kid can do actually at a self-learning pace rather than us sending activities on a particular day and like progressing along with the classmates. So we are looking for a kid's individual journey. Like it's more majorly like a kid's individual journey where the kid can actually do at their own pace. Kid can do the activity, take the activities from tab buddy whenever they want, or even the tab buddy kind of nudges them to do the next activity. Three, kid can actually see the progress that they have done till now. So right now, the badges that we send is for a particular action of the kid. So if they submit, we give a badge. If they answer a question, we give another badge. But these badges are counted at the back end, and we create a separate leaderboard which we sent it through our mentors. But right now we are looking for all these badges or points to get calculated, summed up, and showed to the kids. Like their progress till date is being shown. For example, we want to go to a level where we send them, hey, you have completed 3 activities till now. You have won like 100 silver points and 200 gold points for this. So for you to do 4th activity, please do this. So we want to go through having a complete LMS kind of environment to be set on the WhatsApp itself. So that's what we are majorly looking forward for. And also the badges or the report or a scorecard for a kid is like even, how do I say, visually representing cards, a scorecard instead of a message. There is a system if the points can be shown visually at the back end and shared with the kids. Some customization can be sent to the kids. So all these aspects we are looking forward to build in the chatbot going ahead. Prashant, Shweta, you can add any points if I missed anything.
No, I think you covered all. So basically we are looking at creating like a self-paced learning journey for students. They do the activities and learn at their own time, and trying to making sure that the chatbot would be their one point of communication that they would have to do. So they're trying to eliminate the WhatsApp groups, different WhatsApp groups that we have. Yeah. But we just started exploring this. So we are like still creating a plan for that. So don't have anything to show as of now, but yeah.
Can you please share like how it will work? Maybe some touch points between this tracker and Glific and student journey. Maybe if you can just share.
Sorry, Abhishek, can you repeat?
Yeah, Shweta, so if you could share how it will work, maybe some touch points between this tracker and the communication bit, and how this journey is uniquely, being mapped. Maybe at certain instances, like, how you were planning it. So when the student completes an activity, and if they do it faster, then you record it in the tracker, and, based on that, then you kind of automate the process of self-learning and the level at which they learn as well, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes. So as I said, like we are still planning that. So we also are altering our plans every week. So like to come up with the final flow. So I would say that it's too early, but you can look at like Glific would be or the chatbot would be the way for us to deliver our content, but we would be looking at a system wherein we can record all of our student journey points, so that we would get to know at an individual level what student has finished in their learning journey.
Yeah, so basically the two systems will interact in a way. There'll be a back and forth between the tracker and a communication or Glyphic content delivery system, where each time a content is accessed or completed, the tracker will record the journey and then pass it on. So if a student is not able to move way forward, then I think your curriculum will kind of say that send them the activity or help them at that stage where they are, right, Shweta? Like, is that
Yeah, I'll just add on. So like one major shift that we're looking at. So currently it's more of a collective driven program, right? Every new week, we decide that sequentially the next activity will go to all the children, and the expectation is on them to do that activity. And again, as Krishna was also mentioning, different kids will be at different pace, maybe for whatever reasons they have not done some of the previous activity. In a lot of cases, it might be difficult for them to do the next activity. So now the idea is to make it more individual focused, that a child, if he or she has done only say X activity, then like the messaging that the child gets is for a push for doing the subsequent activity in the flow, irrespective of where the rest of the group is. And for that, the how something like that can work is like, again, having two systems where like there's a student tracking system which needs to be created, where individual students' progress is getting tracked, and the delivery system kind of links to that. So like when a message has to be triggered to a kid, it will have to go back and check in that student tracking system where the student is currently, and then based on that, a specific message would have to be sent. And for like within the same group itself, some student could be getting a reminder to do activity 3, and the other students could be getting an activity 10 because they have finished the activities till then. So that's the major shift that will happen. And also, when this individual student level tracking is happening, for the student also, there is a direct visibility of seeing that, oh, I have done 3 out of 10 activities, I have 7 more activities to go, so that I reach to the next level. So both of these, like for student also, that visibility will be there, and for the system also, they're dealing with each student in a different way.
Yeah, and it sounds really, really awesome. It'll be like the next phase of how you're doing things. So I think even all of us at Glyphic are very excited about how you take it forward.
Yeah, thank you. The eventual idea is to get it in the form of some of the like a, I would say like a Udemy or like a professional training platforms, where like I progress module by module, and once I complete a particular module and of course meet the requirements, then I move to the next part, and so on. And that gets tracked at an individual student level or an individual learner level. So that's probably the final state that we would want to be in.
Abhishek, should I go ahead?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes. So I think I'll same the idea which is being discussed by Slim Outline. I think we also have a similar view in a different way. So one part which I've already mentioned, that there is a journey of student which is being tracked, and then they are being guided accordingly. So that is, so what we are looking for is a student level portfolio and report card. No? At some point of time, you send that this is what you have done and this is how you are progressing. So it is linked to a backward tracking which is happening. But stretching it a little further, because we work in multiple different subjects. So we are looking at this feature along with the different subjects, like, and coming back to the requirement which I projected, so the reason of sharing is maybe others would also have similar thoughts. So one challenge which we look at it purely from student privacy and all point of view is that if there is one program, there is one teacher or one program officer or whosoever is there who is monitoring that program. So currently in Glific, there is only one view, right? And you have an admin view where you actually see everything. The person is able to see everything. So at a system level, if we can have, like there are 3 subjects being taught, there are 3 people, 3 teachers or 3 program officers, each should have their own view. So if I'm, let's say, doing program for Hindi, that Hindi teacher and the student will be common everywhere, but the view which comes to the Hindi teacher is only those who are responding to Hindi program. So I think, Abhishek, we have discussed about it. So I thought I'll maybe share it here so that if others also have similar thought, then you have more motivation to kind of work on that kind of a product. So student level, individual portfolios, teacher and evaluation level, summary of how the students are performing within their own thing. And at a program level, you have a dashboard view where you are looking from a program perspective, and each person has their own different view rather than having a common view for a single number. So these are the, like, our pipeline expectation from Glific platform going forward.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks for that, Lakshmi.
So anybody who feel that they also need similar thing, maybe I think we can collectively push Abhishek for that.
Yes. Awesome. Anybody else for any questions to the TAP team while we have them here?
Hi, I just have one additional question. So when you categorize your students into high rigor and low rigor, what is the observation? What is the percentage of students who would typically be high rigor and how many would be low rigor?
So Krishna, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think around 15% go into high rigor and then remaining continue with the current level.
Okay, thank you. And are there any observations around what, like why this happens, or are there any assumptions we can make about this behavior? Are they good at academics? Is there any predictor that can predict that these are the students who would be high rigor? Is it about the type of family, the type of school, or any other such dependency?
Good question. I think we haven't looked at data that from that point of view. We are still like, looking and analyzing our data, because even splitting them into different rigors does take a lot of back-end work. So yeah, we are still looking at, like, this was like a pilot for us. So looking at the output of that, it's still in progress, but yeah.
So just to summarize, I mean, the differentiation that we have tried to do, we are at a very preliminary stage. The intent was, of course, that like we could clearly see that a lot of students are disengaged or struggling with the activities, and there are students who are doing well and highly engaged, but they get bored that, oh, this activity is too simple for me, and like I'm not enjoying it. So we definitely wanted to address both the problems. At least our internal understanding is that these are tied to their attendance levels in their class, in their academic classrooms as well, their general like engagement in their like regular school classes, but we haven't made those connections. We haven't like connected those data. And also, like, the next step for us also is to understand like how much the impact of this differentiation happens also. So we have gone through a cycle of that, but we haven't really dug deep into the data on either side, the cost side of it and also the effect side of it. After differentiation, we have not done that analysis.
Okay, thank you for adding that. I think we are all in that place where we are trying to figure out what makes a child motivated to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
If I may add here, so we had done a lot of online based learning last 1 year, and there are multiple factors. I mean, some of the analysis which we have done is, so one is individual child interest, their individual capability, and many other factors. But something as simple as if a child has one device is being shared between 2 siblings, or if the device is some of the devices are high end, some of the devices are lower end. That also changes their behavior, how they respond. Some of the children are using the device of their parents, so their availability is also an issue. So there's no direct correlation we can make based on the engagement of the student, because there are socioeconomic factors. There is an individual interest of the student, and there is a factor of the kind of content you want or you have on the platform. And then other prevailing situations, like if the family is suffering from some COVID issues or other financial issues, all those are kind of factors which we have done in a little bit of evaluation we did for some sample states. So all these factors impacted the engagement of the children.
Thank you for adding that. Yeah, we'll also look at our data from that point.
All right. I think we are close to closing the session. We can take all of the conversations again back to Discord in case somebody has any questions, and direct them to Shweta and Krishna if you're also there on Discord. I think we can take it forward for them. So yeah, thank you so much for your time. We keep bugging you from time to time, asking for a lot of time, and thanks for doing this. We are all really excited to know how this second phase of your program turns out, how you build the system. We'd love to have you back. And yeah, and overall, I think for this session, we'll try to put more structure to this in the coming time as well. Like have more people, because there are people doing great work, and we may not get to know, like Mukammar's building really extensive flows. Digital Green is coming up with a voice bot. Sandeep is from Antarang, he's trying to build a student-centric system as well, with integration with Salesforce, and there's so much stuff happening. So it'll be good to exchange notes and have these conversations. So yeah, thank you so much for your participation and time. Yeah, feel free to connect with each other and ask questions and discuss more. Well, yeah, let's sign off. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you for creating this.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye.